The Many Lies of PS5 is absolute garbage and unacceptable. What's up, guys? How are you? It's your boy, Hebot, the world's most powerful gamer, your action figure enthusiast and video game aficionado. And for all of you that don't like this video, I don't care. Keep moving and don't stop. Now, for those of you interested in listening and watching, I hope you enjoy. Let's have some talk. Let's conversate. I think it's long overdue. So, this video will be dedicated as well to all those in the media, in the YouTube scene, so-called gaming YouTube tech guys that have so-called insiders that love to skew and love to do fraudulent videos and clickbaiting, saying they have so much information about this or about that, and then we come to find out that most of it, if not all, was just all blatant lies and blatant fraudulent behavior from them, right? This goes also to mainstream medias that are irresponsible, that are supposed to be professionals as well. So, as we all know, we'll go back and take it back to 2013 with the release of the Xbox One, when Microsoft was selling their brand new next generational console for $499, but it came with actual price value, meaning it came with the Kinect, where you were able to use it for the console itself to do recordings and to do streaming, and for the interface, and to give it commands to turn off. It was part of the actual whole ecosystem and actual layout of what the console experience was offering, as well as giving you actual real launch games at very high quality with very, very robust and unique library. So, we all know, sorry for the interruption, as we all know that ever since 2013, it's been, oh, I got a PS4 because it was cheaper and had more power. It wasn't because they had real exclusives, because they only had 2 games, which was, Knack and obviously Killzone. One game that should have been an indie game, as we know, and then the other being a AAA game that really felt kind of half-baked. It wasn't really fleshed out. It felt rushed, in other words, right? And yet, everybody was like, oh no, running with that narrative, I'm getting a PlayStation, it's so powerful, the multiplayer is going to be so much better. And then we come to find out that most of it was just bait and switch. It was lies, like when they were saying Call of Duty was 1080p, and it wasn't even 1080p at that time, it was 720. And then later on, it was able to be 1080p as well on the Xbox, just with some dynamic resolutions to avoid any hiccups in the performance, which doesn't detract at all from games. And then we were like, oh, but they're supporting indie games and Microsoft doesn't, when we all know that was also not the case at all. So fast forward all this time now we're running with these different narratives of, oh, well, Xbox really has no games. Why should they go out and buy a $500 console if their games are not really, there's not really a lot of variety? When, in fact, there is. Maybe not big AAA titles, but enough variety to keep you busy as time goes on, under the circumstances, obviously, that we're in. We had games early on, which a lot of people still did not get to play, like Ori 2. A phenomenal indie that is a new IP, got a sequel, and that was heavily praised, which you can't play on PlayStation 4 or 5. Same thing like Battletoads, a classic IP, rejuvenated, brought back by Dalala Games because Rare gave them the permission to bring it back when they pitched to them what they wanted to do. Obviously, the Falconeer, we had the introductory epilogue of Bright Memory, Gears Tactics for the RTS enthusiast, which is canon as well, and also games like, you know, the Hivebusters DLC, story DLC for, you know, Gears 5, and now the Medium. Okay, and as far as we know, we got other games down the pipe like the Gunk, right? Scorn, Everwild, and Flight Simulator, and Halo Infinite, just to name a few, and Crossfire X for this year, right? So everyone's like, we don't have no reason to buy it. But my question is always, well, can you play those games on PlayStation 5? Even Yakuza Like a Dragon, the next generation version, is only available for Xbox One, not for PS5. Okay? But I don't like to mention it because you can play it on PS4. Yeah, but we're talking about new generation consoles. PS5 versus Xbox Series X. And yet, on PlayStation 5, all you really have is a remaster from PS3, a story DLC from Spider-Man, which is, you know, not a new franchise. Then you have Bugsnax, a glorified demo to show you the tech of the hardware, or the actual controller, an Astrobot. And then you have, the upcoming Returnal in April, and then June, the 15th entry in Ratchet & Clank. Also not forgetting Sackboy by Sumo Digital, the same people who did Crackdown 3, which everybody said was a horrible developer and that Crackdown 3 was garbage. But now, Sackboy is amazing, right? You guys have games that are basically diabetic games according to a lot of people, right? That weren't up to snuff, and a remaster. Meanwhile, on Xbox, we're getting brand new IPs that are AA, AAA, and single A. But the best part of this all is that all these YouTubers are running with things like RDNA 2, running with things like the PS5 is really 13 teraflops, or that the power of the SSD is going to be so much faster that it's going to leave gains on Xbox out the water, when we already said it long ago, okay? And I said long ago, I'm going to stop referring to we because this is my video, but long ago the SSD was just for loading games and at a faster speed. It's not to help with graphical fidelity. Fast forward again, like I said, a couple of months later since the consoles have released, and what's going on? The Xbox Series X has got good perception. It's outselling in all these other, countries that was not expected, like the UK and South Africa, which is a very good sign, which shows people want it, that the hype is there. And what it's doing is creating the fanatics that are fanboys of the console, not the actual fans that enjoy it for what it is and that just play games, are trying to damage control left and right. When we always said, or I always said, it was about the games, and that Microsoft Xbox One at launch in 2013 had games. In comparison to now, obviously it's much different, but it had games. And what was said, it's not powerful enough. It's 900p, or it's 720p, or look at the big brick, or it looks like a VCR, or look at the Kinect, it's spying on you. They got the government spying on you. They want to see what you're doing, and all kinds of nonsense and stupid, superficial things that were just absolutely asinine and immature and dumb for any gamer that's a real gamer to even had, talked about, because we don't play how the console looks. The console, the way it looks, is not how you play games, or how big the power supply was, which that was to avoid any power surge from burning out the console in case you had an outage in your home, right? Just like it had it on the Nintendo Wii U, on the Switch, on the Wii 1, and also on the PS2 Slim, and even if I'm not mistaken, on the GameCube, going far back, if I'm not mistaken. Things that they're just not important. And we come to find out as time goes on, look, all these new features they added on to their controller, and now there's a class action suit going on that the government's going to get involved because of the fact that too many people are making the complaint against Sony because the controllers are breaking down on them. Okay, that the controllers are not working. What is the point of adding these features to the controller and make it like the next thing in gaming if it wasn't done properly, or if it wasn't, researched and developed properly for it to actually work correctly and break down easily on you, okay? And no, don't go damage controlling saying, oh, because I turn it off, it doesn't matter to me, because that's not the point. Obviously, if you turn it off, you're avoiding for it to happen because you're not using the feature sets. But if you turn it on, you're going to more than likely run into the issue the more you use the controller, because that's what's happening to a lot of people. And the more and more reports keep coming daily, monthly, weekly. If the class action suit is going to be done by the government, they're getting involved, it's because it's enough reports to validate the case. Right? Meanwhile, on Xbox, everything is working pretty much flawlessly. And the little complaints that we're getting, of like issues with trays, this not really going in, or it freezing, or things like that are either small or it's not console hardware related, more of software related, right? Or a glitch within certain areas in the games or the system when you're playing them, which could be fixed most times with firmware updates, right? And again, the cases are very minimal. You don't really see it, right? The way you're doing it with people that bought PS5, and that are having these issues with the PlayStation 5, So the hardware is, because of what we're seeing with the controller, we know that the controller wasn't built good enough. And I felt the controller, my friend brought it over, and to be honest, it felt very plasticky, felt very cheap, like you can just bend it and it'll break in your hand. On top of that, now they went inside the die of the console, and they found out that initially what they were saying that it had support for Infinity Cache and that it was RDNA feature sets of RDNA 2. All these things were not true. They were false. They were not real. It doesn't support it at all. It's actually RDNA 1 with some custom feature sets, as opposed to the Xbox Series X that does support full RDNA 2, that does support full features like, obviously, DirectX 12 Ultimate, because there's a difference between 12 and Ultimate, which no console out there is actually supporting. The fact that we have the ability to have games, come on, lady, stop. The fact that we have games actually supporting HDR12 and not just 10, the highest value in the HDR, family, and Dolby Atmos surround sound, as opposed to 3D virtual audio that has really existed for a long time. And then, Mark Cerny standing that podium telling people left and right, that, it's going to be able to do variable refresh rates in so many different areas with the CPU and the GPU, and talking about, in his soft-spoken voice that he has, all types of technical terms to kind of clean it up, the way he said that you can split up 4 teraflops into 8 and create it into an 8 teraflop machine, when in reality that is a true factor, but it only applies for games that are less demanding, like a small independent game, not a big high demanding game that is in the AAA realm, like let's say a God of War. Okay, then you're not even getting 3 generations or 4 generations in PlayStation of actual backwards compatibility with your console, okay? Which we are on Xbox. You can't even, they're not even getting a full next-gen supports for their existing legacy titles. On top of not getting support for any of the older titles that they have from their other previous, right? Meanwhile, you're getting that on Xbox for free if you own the disc or digitally rather. And you're playing it better than it ever was before with the free upgrades, right? So it's a very telling story, you know, just like Microsoft even did an adaptive controller for people that are disabled to be able to play, where there's none of that. And it doesn't exist nowhere in the Sony realm. So you're paying $500 now for a console that claimed to be on the same realm as the, you know, Xbox Series X, and we're starting to see the disparity already start to grow and start to show its face with the differences in the games when Digital Foundry do their analysis. Even though there's still damage controlling for PlayStation, don't get me wrong. But the point is that they cannot hide it, because there's no way they can do that anymore, because the truth is being exposed out there about the fact that the games and the hardware are not up to snuff in comparison to the Series X. Now, you know that multi-plats are just going to get more and more better, right? On the Series X, as far as performance, quality of resolution, quality of performance in the frame rate, and even, you know, other things like VRR or the anamorphic tempering that they do, stuff like that. You know, all types of these technical techniques that are used to make the games have better detail, or even 4K textures and things of that nature. So the disparity is going to show its face more and more, not because there's some type of preference, but because of the hardware. The hardware disparity is there. The Xbox Series X is a very capable machine, and as we know, even AMD has came out and already confirmed that some of the feature sets that are in the Xbox Series X and in their graphics cards haven't not been tapped into even yet, meaning they haven't even used them and started to access them the way they were meant to work for games yet, which is probably going to be a bigger defactor as time goes on and goes forward. So the point I'm trying to say is that the PlayStation 5, and again, this is not for the real fans that play their games. At the end of the day, it's about the games. If games are good, that's all that matters. But that's what I've always said about Xbox when everybody else was worrying about the brick, the size of the console, the resolution, and things like that. Or the Kinect watching and spying on you, right? When that was totally, completely taken out of context as well. But now, you're paying $500 for a PlayStation 5, again, not to sound like a broken record, and the console is way more enabled or incapable than initially thought and initially perceived and presented to us and to you guys, the gamers and audience out here in the gaming community, right? So what does that mean? That means exactly what we suspected long ago. Sony does not have the type of money that Microsoft has to do more and better efficient RDNA and create and make better parts. So they're not on the same playing field and level as the Xbox. They just aren't. With their games, they have an advantage because they are a movie studio. So they can use movie studio quality equipment, actors, and approach and cameras to do certain set things in their games to make them feel more like movies as opposed to actual games, which is the most important value and asset of any game. Is gameplay, fun factor, and gameplay mechanics and variety. So, the PlayStation 5 is complete and utter garbage at this point in what it's doing. But now it makes sense of what you're seeing with the people that are showing these things in their videos on social, whether it's Instagram or Twitter or even Facebook. This is not a personal attack at PlayStation. No, it's calling out the BS that's always pushed around from media outlets that are biased, from fake YouTubers that are biased, from so-called YouTubers that act, or influencers that say that they have insight and information and that they know that it's going to be RDNA 3 and 13.6 teraflops, and it's going to be ray tracing of the highest quality, when the console can't even do something simple like HDR12. I'm just saying. So again, if you don't call out and be honest about what's going on now, then you're going to get what you deserve in the PlayStation community. And yes, I'm pretty sure there's people that have had luck and haven't had no facing issues. And for you, I'm very happy for you. And I'm glad that you're not experiencing these issues. But this is not about just you guys that are not having the issues. This is about everyone. And those that are having the issues cannot be put to the wayside because they're consumers just like you. And they have every right to be upset and to be pissed off and be angry because they paid a lot of money and the console is not working up to snuff in the way it was promised. Or that it's not having the power and the equivalency that they said it was, and they were lied to and deceived to believing it did, based off whatever Mark Cerny said the specs were, and rumors and ramblings he said and she said, and so forth and so forth. So again, like I said, the controller, absolute trash. It's going to have a lawsuit, and I hope they win for those that are experiencing it, because what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And Sony needs to start to take responsibility for their actions, because they've been completely silent. You haven't heard anything from them. They haven't addressed the issue. They haven't sent out an apology. They haven't sent out or anything saying, and stating, we're looking into it. We're going to try to fix the issue. We're so sorry for you guys that support us and have been loyal fans for years and years. They're just staying quiet. Could it be because they're ashamed, embarrassed? Absolutely. Very big possibility. Or it could just be that they're just still arrogant and think that since they're on the top of the world and perceived as the it console to have, because it's cool to be on PlayStation, they don't care, because they know that you guys, the fanatics and the ones that don't call it out, are happy. You let it happen. You accept it. You take it right up the rear end, for lack of a better term. So if that's the case, then you guys get what you deserve long term as the generation goes forward. The rest of this gen and the next one that comes after, if they make another console. Right? So I wanted to give my thoughts on it. I wanted to talk about it. Now it's been confirmed. So now I will speak on it, because I'm not the type of influencer on YouTube that likes to make videos on rumors, on hypotheticals, or on what ifs. And I definitely don't want to say I have inside information and sources, because I do not. I know some things of people that know people directly inside that I can talk about, but that's as far as I can say. But for me to sit here and be irresponsible to my audience that comes and watch me and say, oh, yeah, I know for a fact that the Xbox Series X is going to be 75 teraflops. That's absolute madness. That's absolute irresponsibility on my part. And it's pretty pathetic, to be honest, because you should be able to grow your brand based on what you do and being genuine to your audience, not clickbaiting just because the sake of clickbaiting, and you know it brings negative press. But like brother E-Rock has said, and my brother Ricardo, and my brother 100, good press and bad press is all good. It's all press. So again, if you don't like the video, if you don't take the time to listen to it and get to the end, then screw you. I don't care. I like to call out BS because I don't see any problem with other people calling out fake drama and fake BS when it comes to Microsoft. Like the drama they created with this, oh my God, they're trying to steal our money by raising Xbox Live to $60 more a year. Oh my God. When you had the option to buy it through Game Pass Ultimate, which was way cheaper, and you got a lot more bang for your buck, when they haven't raised the price for 15 years, when they were giving us extra game every month, which is 12 altogether more than what we already got a year, when they were giving us, obviously still, cloud dedicated service for free on all the exclusives, including third party if they choose to use it, and wonderful things like video recording in 4K and in 60 frames with no Elgato necessary or needed, or big PC higher end with all this equipment to actually present it. There's a lot of good perks that they do and take care of their consumers. So that price point wasn't really a big deal. It really isn't, because it's a luxury at the end of the day, and it's all if you choose to do it, and you can buy it when you have it. And plus, with Bing points, you could accumulate more than half of that within weeks or months. Especially if you do a lot of the, plug-in cards that they give you for games to accumulate more points faster. So yeah, guys, that's my video. That's my thoughts. I just wanted to talk about it. I know it probably sounded like I was all over the place, but there was a lot to register, a lot to talk about. I'll probably do a We Got Next soon, because would like to talk about it more in depth with other people and get their thoughts on it and what they think. I'm planning to do a couple more interviews soon with some people that are really nice, and that I'm looking really forward to being able to do it if they green light it for me and make it possible. So I hope it happens, and I hope you tune in to check it out. Thank you for all the love and support to this point, to all the newcomers, all the ones that have been here from the beginning, and for those who left, I'm sorry that you didn't stick around based on your feelings. I'm sorry, it's life, but I've always said that judgment and support is supposed to come from how you feel about that person and how you treat the person, not who you want that person to be, because we're not supposed to act like we control each other. So leave a thumbs up, guys, if you like. Leave a thumbs down if you didn't. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think on your own thoughts. And as always, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. And if you subscribe, I really appreciate it. Thank you. Because I know you didn't have to, but if you did, I consider you now part of my family. And as always, you can find me on Twitter under C_respect. On Instagram, rather. And on Twitter is Ebot, Powerful Gamer. And on Xbox Live and Switch is Hebot8. On the PlayStation Network is Alf Fell from Sky. If you guys would ever want to donate anything to my channel to have me review it or showcase it, whether it's video game related or action figure related, just send me a DM so we can work out the particulars. And if you ever want to help me out in any way, shape, or form, from the kindness of your heart, because you have the means to, or because you like what I do and you want to help me grow my channel more and more, because I sustain it, everything out of pocket, like a lot of people do out here that are not big like others, it will mean the world to me. But you know how to do it. It's all down in the description below. Xbox for life, like a sickness that can't be cured. That's my saying. That's my slogan. People, don't get triggered. It's all in good game. It's all in gaming. It's all in good fun. I'll see you guys soon in the very next one. Take care. Be safe. Wear your mask. And love you guys. Peace.